session, we'll go over making the module platform. So what you can expect during this quick training session is a behind-the-scenes look at how the module was made, classroom implementation, and student choice for assignments. Then we'll follow it up with some future Q&A. So when we made the module platform, what we did is we started with screenshots of the platform, so of Google Classroom or Seesaw. And then we took those screenshots and decided which one of those were the main feature, the main key point in that on that platform. Then we took and inserted interactive buttons on the top of those screenshots. Some of the interactive elements included images, videos, and text. And this allowed for a layering effect so that we could take and use a plus sign and then see what is underneath that layer of that plus sign if we were looking at that actual item on the platform that we're looking at. Another thing is you can add gaming elements for self-check. So that's what we did with both Seesaw and Google Classroom, is we took different games and allowed for you to ask yourself questions and then to check to see if you were progressing through the learning the way that you were supposed to be. That is how we made platform. So as we were making the platform, we used Genially, we used Google Sites, and we utilized Google Classroom for our application piece. So we're going to take a deeper dive into those three things and see how this module was created. So we ask ourselves, what can Genially do in a classroom? So what it can do is it allows for students to interact with teacher-created content. The terms of services for students are actually over 14. And so because of that, I wouldn't recommend students creating Geniallys because it only limits, allows for high school students to be able to create these. So Genially is going to be a tool for teachers to use to deliver content. So different examples on how Genially can be used is to replace a PowerPoint. So if you look to the right, you can see this example of a cell, and you can see how we took a cell and added different interactive buttons to give you extra information and to allow the learner to experience not only that picture, but what could lie underneath the picture. So another idea would be stations. You could take an image, a screenshot, and then you could have all of your interactive stations and they could rotate around and look at all of the different ideas and the different tasks that they need to complete all on a one-pager. So it's similar to a hyperlink. Another idea could be a flipped classroom with multiple videos. So if you're doing asynchronous learning that day, you could take an Edpuzzle possibly, and you could take a YouTube video, you could take a Khan Academy video, and then you could take some video segments that you create yourself, and you can house them all in one place on a Genially that would allow students to be able to work through the content, and then also giving feedback along the way, utilizing something such as maybe like a ClassKick that's already embedded in the Genially. Right here, this area is a resource area that has links to extra items for you to learn and go deeper into Genially. All right, so think into your head and jot down what feature will be most beneficial to you in your classroom and why. So the next thing that we did when we made the module platform was we housed everything on a Google site. And the reason why is because we wanted a one-stop shop for any and everyone to go to be able to get the content that they needed. And the way that we did that was most successful was by utilizing a site. So on the left is how you begin to create your own Google site. And you just go to your drive and then the 9 square or the waffle at the top, and you will find sites, and then you will click create new site. And from there, you can build your pages. You can add content by a drag and drop system, and you can get content directly from your Google Drive very easily. Right underneath there is Google support sites. So if you need some extra help on how to begin creation, then this is a great place for you to start. So what can you do with a Google site with students? That's more important. And so these are 4 things that you can do with a site. Students can create digital notebooks, and the reason being is because in the classroom, they have notebooks and everything's in a binder, and you have your tabs for your different subjects, and you put it all there, and it's the home or the house for that material. Well, with a Google site, you can create a digital notebook from sites, and you can take templates from Google Slides or Google Drawings or any Google Suite, and you can make a copy of each one of those for the students. They can annotate from the template that you create, and then they can drag and drop those into a certain tab in their Google site. And so they'll have that digital notebook forever. So if you teach science, you could have a section for life science, a section for earth science, and they can drop that content on those pages and create that digital notebook. Another way that you can use this is with blogging, whether it be personal blogs or reading blogs, depending on what you teach. But this is a great way for students to jot down their thoughts, and then for them to practice writing in an informal way that allows them to get down their ideas on paper and to start working through that creativity that they so often lose and they need practice with. Another idea is for student work portfolios. So if they want to have a Google site and then put their best work that they can share with the world and have more global audience, then a Google site's a great place for students to do that. The last idea would be to do some type of data tracker and goal tracking. And so that could be a place similar to a portfolio where they share what they're working on, their goals, how they're progressing through their goals, and how are they able to get data and collect data so that they know that they're progressing towards their goal. So that's really important when we talk about transitioning to student ownership, is what does it look like to have student ownership, and how do you get them on that track? And so utilizing a Google site in this means, and by this method, is really important to start that conversation of student ownership. So now let's talk about differentiation with student choice. So within the Google Classroom, it was different. You didn't have to utilize a template that the teacher created. There was nothing there for you. It was just an activity that said to do this activity and make sure these 3 components are present in the activity. And so that allowed different participants to have different opportunity and to choose how they show their learning. So think to yourself, what opportunities have students had in your class to decide how they will show what they know? So think about that for a minute and think, in the last few weeks, what opportunities have students had? And now think, how did you make that happen? Okay, so with Google Classroom, you can allow students to create any product that meets the requirements of whatever rubric that you have created and laid out for the students. And here are some different creation ideas: infographics, written responses, podcasts, video responses, or just saying create something you decide. It doesn't have to fall within these ideas. Another idea for Seesaw is to allow students to utilize the different features within an activity. So you can tell them this is the activity that you're going to do, and they can decide how they show what they did. So for example, if they're doing a reader's theater and they read through the reader's theater and you want to know how well they feel like they read the story and what they thought was a hard place in the story to read, and some place that made them laugh and they were able to use their voices and to use inflections and all those things. So if you want a response like that, then you could tell them, this is what I want from you. You tell me how you want to do that. So you can have students that record themselves and they talk and make a selfie video. You can have students that would like to just type it, or maybe they just want their voice response, but they decide how they show what they know. So, in closing, I want you to think about what aspects of making the platform are you most excited about implement. We talked quickly today about ways to use Genially with the students. We talked about how to utilize Google Sites to the best of your ability to be able to allow for student creation. And we talked a little bit about differentiation and how that looks in Google Classroom and Seesaw. So make sure that you take a time to reflect and to think about what you're going to implement and why you're so excited to implement this. Make sure to follow us at #MISDiTech